I'm Noah, and you're listening to Product Journey. Hey everybody, it's Noah here again. I am doing a solo podcast. Also going to put this on YouTube, but I'm just going to do a solo episode again. If I have, something to think about, some question to talk about, something that I've seen you guys ask, maybe on Twitter or somewhere, I think I'm more likely, that's what gives me some ideas of things to do on these episodes. So if you have a question, feel free to DM me on Twitter or leave a comment on YouTube. Because in this episode, we're going to talk about how I think about ideas, some of the different ideas I've gone through in the last 4 months. That'd be interesting to talk about because I've had multiple people ask me okay, how do you think through what ideas you want to do? Especially right now, since I'm looking at starting a new business. Well, I already have, so I'll kind of get to that business at the end. But I actually went through 3 ideas before that. So I'm going to go through each of the ideas, kind of what it was, and then why I decided to kind of move away from it. And then maybe we'll actually end on what I ended up deciding to work on. So we're going to go through some different ideas and maybe a little bit of my framework and thinking of okay, what's a good business idea? What's something that I would do, wouldn't do? I do have a little bit of a framework, so we'll kind of talk through that. And I think it's, it's kind of really depends on you and what you want to do a lot. So I think this is a very much a founder driven kind of question of what makes sense for you. And so maybe hearing kind of my conditions of what I want, my check boxes, maybe that will help you out a little bit too. So I tweeted about this, these 4 different ideas. So we'll kind of follow this a little bit as we go through. And then maybe if you're on the YouTubes, I don't know, is that plural? I don't think so. But you'll be able to see kind of what these are, because some of these ideas I actually built something, and there's something out there in the world that people can play with. But I basically did that just to prototype and test the idea. So the first one was called Fave, and this idea was basically creating an affiliate program, but in the crypto world. So kind of where this idea came from was I definitely benefited in my last business, Potion, from having an affiliate program, had a lot of growth from that. And so when I looked at Web3 in the crypto landscape, there wasn't an easy way to build an affiliate program on crypto rails where, the money's coming through crypto on the blockchain, and being able to kind of track that and have a kind of a SaaS that handles that all for you. So that you don't really have to think about it, but you can just, with a couple clicks through that tool, add an affiliate program. So that's kind of the idea of what Fave was, and started prototyping it out. I built some things to test it out on the kind of back end code and stuff to see okay, could I even do this technically? What would this look like? And then I think I talked to almost 15 people, 15 different project founders and owners of different crypto projects to kind of see okay, is this a problem? And my response from that was kind of meh. Some of them, it was definitely not a top priority. And that's where I kind of came to I don't know if this will really make sense. I even had, so the one positive was I had a company. It was kind of like a GameFi, all these Web3 terminology. It was a GameFi project where they had a game, and they were looking to add an affiliate program actually. So they were actually in the process of trying to add an affiliate program themselves, and they almost paid me $2,000. This was kind of what I threw out at them, hey, I'll build this custom for you for $2,000, and I'd already kind of started prototyping it. And if they would have taken that, which they were really close, it almost happened. If they would have done that, there's a chance that I'd still be more so working on this idea today. And I think the problem is I think it's really just too early. I think it's a decent idea. I think this is a problem in the crypto Web3 space. It's just I think it's too early, because the problem with affiliate programs is you really need you need revenue basically. You need some transaction, some point where the business is making revenue. And so the hard kind of truth of crypto right now is crypto is very early, where there's a lot of products out there that they're not they're not really making money. And the other thing is they're different kind of products, right? Because affiliate is kind of for like, there's an online transaction, you're getting some digital product. The only thing like that really in the NFT world is more so like NFTs, which NFTs aren't doing so hot right now. There are like DeFi projects, buying and selling tokens where you could have kind of an affiliate model for that. And maybe you're sharing part of the transaction fees or something like that. But it's a little bit different than like a SaaS where it's like, oh, you buy this digital product, you buy the SaaS, and you get to share part of that revenue with an affiliate. Because a lot of the crypto businesses are kind of either running on venture capital or they're running on some token, and kind of how they make money is just like that token having value and them holding part of that token. So it's a little bit weird right now, and I think it's just kind of too early. I think it could be a good idea later, but ultimately because of that reason, I decided to kind of move away from it. But thinking about this as like, oh, is this an idea I'd want to do? First, and you'll see with a lot of these ideas, I'm really looking into the crypto world. One, because I have had a lot of experience with that in the last couple of years. I'm really interested in it. I think it's a new thing that's like actually gonna like get bigger. Like I think there's gonna be some growth, especially in the next couple of years. It is kind of in a winter kind of season right now, but I think there's a lot of opportunity there, and I've kind of learned a lot about it. So I think that's like the first thing is like, is this something I care about? I'm excited about? Is it like scratching my own itch? And so that's kind of what I was looking for with this. The other thing with this idea I like is there's a lot of examples of an affiliate program like SaaS businesses in the normal like Web 2 space that are bootstrapped businesses. They didn't have to go raise venture capital. I think it is very much so like a SaaS kind of business that could grow kind of organically and kind of grow it on my own terms, which is definitely what I'm looking to do. And the other thing there is it shows like, okay, this is an idea that works. Affiliate program services have been working and they make money, and it's a real thing. It's just kind of turning that to a different niche, a different kind of market, the crypto market, and just doing it there. And so that's where I think I like an idea, something where it's kind of de-risked, where it's not like you're doing something completely brand new where it's like you're the only one out there starting to build this startup and do this thing. It's more like, okay, there's other businesses out there that have showed that something like this works, and you're just kind of changing it in a little way. So I think that's the first thing we can look at from that business. Okay, second business, another one that I switched from is called Tipcast. And so this one was definitely more so just like kind of just having fun, kind of experimenting with something. So I joined this community called Farcaster. It's kind of like Twitter, but it's very much so right now, at least for like crypto builders and makers. But other than that, like it's very much like Twitter. It's kind of built on top of like Web3 kind of protocols and stuff. But so kind of the idea was, could I make it really easy just to do micro tips, kind of like going back to like the old like PayPal days where it's like you could just send money over the internet really easily. And crypto, kind of has like the rails for this, the grounds for this. The cool thing with Farcaster is when someone creates an account, everyone kind of connects their wallet. So they all have like their crypto wallet that's connected. And so you kind of have, you have like a username just like you do on Twitter. But then you have like a wallet connected to that. So it kind of gives this like identity that we don't really have in a lot of crypto circles. It's kind of like this like random wallet that no one really knows who it is. But this is like, oh, these are people you're hanging out with in this community that you know. And also you can just like easily find their wallet through their username. So this is kind of what it looks like. This is like a very simple, this was like the very first version, just trying to prototype quickly to kind of learn. And I launched this on Farcaster, which is cool. And actually, if you click over here, you can see some of this might be broken maybe. Oh no, it works. You can see this tipping feed. So you can see all these tips that people did. And this is kind of actually through Farcaster. It's basically just this Tipcast bot that will just kind of cast these out, they called it, which is kind of like a tweet is a cast. But then you can also see like who tipped the most. I actually got tipped the most, kind of funnily enough. I made $18 in tips through Tipcast, so that was fun. But you can see all these other people that were getting tipped. And then on the tipper board, you can actually see who was tipping the most. And of course, I was the one tipping the most as well. But it was kind of cool. So I kind of experimented with this idea, threw it out there. And out of this, I think around $50, maybe almost $100 was tipped to different people within like a couple weeks. So there, it was like, okay, there's something there, but then it definitely like died off. And I think some of the learnings from that is like, one, like tipping, like I think this could be cool, but like our culture is not really into tipping that much, at least over like the internet yet. And I think I at least kind of showed that like crypto can be a solution for this, maybe in the future. You can see here, this is like my profile page. You can kind of just, for podcast listeners, like you can easily just like click a couple buttons to pick an amount you want to tip. You do, like for this, you do have to have like, you kind of have to know some crypto stuff. So that's why I kind of launched just to crypto people. Like you have to have a wallet already. You have to kind of know how to use that. But the cool thing with crypto is like you can send these microtransactions for just like a quarter a penny. Like that's the amount of the cost to spend it, to send it. So then, you could do like $1 tip and things like that, and actually kind of make sense with that. So I was really playing around with that idea, and I was kind of seeing like, I could see this like becoming almost like a Venmo or something, where ideally people don't even have to know that it's like built on top of crypto, but like the transaction fees and all of that is just cheaper. So I think something like this will happen in the future, where building, tipping, and sending money will actually be cheaper in crypto than it is in like our current financial system. That like this could actually make sense, but I decided not to do it or continue to doing it. And the reason being is that I think this is another idea where it's too ambitious of an idea. Like basically you need like millions of dollars being transacted through your platform. If say I was going to take like a 2% fee or something like that on all these transactions, especially with micro transactions, like you just need a lot of volume coming through for me to even be able to make a decent amount of money on this. And so really that means like, I think this business model is not really a bootstrapper friendly model. It's more like a raise a ton of venture capital, go lose money for the next 5 years as you build this thing out and get it to huge scale. And then once you get it to huge scale, then like you can kind of have a way to build enough money from it. But you need like millions of people using this basically for it to be profitable. And so just like, that's definitely not what I want to do. Even though it was definitely fun kind of playing around with and building and interacting with the Farcaster community with this was a lot of fun. But ultimately with that, I decided to move on. Okay, so we go to our third idea. I'm still kind of in crypto world because I'm just kind of exploring, trying to figure out. And actually, maybe that would be interesting too. Just like share my process a little bit is, I definitely, when I'm looking for ideas, I'm trying to scratch my own itch. So I'm like seeing like things that come up, and a lot of the time it's through like just being on Twitter, interacting with different people in different communities I'm in. And just like you kind of run into problems that way, or just like using different tools and things myself, just kind of running into something that's like, okay, why is this so hard? Or, things like that. So that's definitely how I find problems. So that's kind of the first step. And then whenever I find a problem, I'll typically do like a lot of research first. Like I'll spend multiple days like looking into potential competitors, looking into like how are people solving this online like right now. And that's the awesome thing about online businesses is I feel like you can learn a lot without really having to talk to too many people to start. Like you can just do a lot of research, go on Reddit, go on different forums, see like what people are doing, and kind of through that kind of get more of an idea like, okay, maybe this makes sense. And then like at that point, either depending on the idea, I'll try to actually like reach out to people and like have conversations, kind of like I did with Fave, where I'll like try to talk to 10, 15 different people and hear their experience with the problem. Or maybe I'll start decide like, oh, I can just like make a little prototype in a week. Maybe I'll just do that and then kind of go from there. So that's kind of my process. Like, it's like almost a couple weeks. I mean, if I like the idea, I'll spend a couple weeks on it. And then from that, kind of decide like, I don't want to keep doing this, or maybe there's actually something there. So that's kind of what I did with all these different ideas. So my bag here, just looking really quickly, is kind of this idea I think there's this problem in crypto where everyone has like a wallet, but they don't necessarily want to share it because they don't want to share it publicly, because then it's like you can see how much money they have. You can see exactly what they're doing because everything's public on the blockchain. At the same time, like kind of the whole idea around crypto is like we kind of need to be transparent so that like, oh, this person isn't like trying to scam me, or this person isn't like trying to get you to buy some token or project that they're in. So like there's different things that can happen that aren't great when people aren't very upfront and public about kind of what their holdings are. And so this was kind of an idea of like, can I fix that problem? Just making it really easy for people to show the different tokens and cryptos that they hold, but not make them show their wallets that they hold. So like here's actually my bag, for example. It shows these are some of the crypto tokens that I hold. These are some of like the NFTs I hold. So like people can kind of see those. And so maybe you'll then kind of know some of my bias or something like that. And then, but I can like hide my wallet. So you don't actually know unless I decide like this one, I decide to make this one public. So you can go click through and actually look through this wallet and actually really see. But anyways, this one was just kind of another fun one. It's like, it's hard with these ideas like this to like figure out like, how would you actually make money from this? Like, it's just kind of tricky. Like my thought with this was, basically just have to get tons of people to create accounts and then do ads or something like that and do kind of a big like website traffic kind of play. And it just didn't seem like there were some other things out there that do similar kind of already. There's a lot of other ideas I had with this, even just the idea of like this connects your bag to your Twitter account. So there's kind of like a connection to your real social profile there that I thought were interesting. But ultimately, like, again, I think this is probably a hard idea to actually make good money from. And so that's kind of like, I had fun kind of building it, playing around with it. Even with some of these ideas, I like learned some new technology. Like I learned how to use Supabase with this project. And even for that, like it was pretty valuable just to like play around with some new stuff and learn how to build things maybe in a better way. So there's other learnings, which was great. But yeah, decided not to go on with that one. Okay, so let's go to this list. So I tweeted this out. I'm looking for my next idea after selling my last business. Here's my checklist. Maybe you could use something similar. And so this is like a very kind of picky checklist of like things that I'd like my next business to have, attributes, characteristics I'd like it to have. And I think it's funny because I think the more you do entrepreneurship stuff, I think the more picky you get in some ways. Like I don't want to run a business that I really don't like. I really want to like this business and I really want to potentially do this business for a while. So that's even my first thing here. Something I could see myself running for the next 10 years. I guess I'll just read through the list. I can build it all by myself, can run 100% bootstrap, has optionality, potential to go raise money. So I like the optionality one. Like I want to run a business where I could run it at my own pace and like that would be a successful outcome, or I could go raise some money if I think that makes sense. Like I don't want to run a business where I'm very pigeonholed into like a strategy of like, oh, I got to go raise a ton of money or there's like no chance because of the competition there and it's just not going to work. So that's why I have that one there. Can't be built on top of another platform. Product price can't be below $100. That one is, I'm probably going to break that one, most likely. I think for a SaaS, if I was going to do a SaaS, I'd definitely do that one. And that's kind of the funny thing is that the idea, which I'll share about in a second here, that I actually landed on isn't a SaaS. And so that already kind of makes it break some of these in a way. But I think it's still good in a lot of these. No physical products. Scratches my own itch, something I'd use myself. I've already kind of talked about why that's the thing for me. Web app, no mobile or desktop apps. This one I'm kind of picky on. Like I feel like mobile apps are they're hit or miss. One, usually mobile apps are for consumers, which is a lot harder to build a business selling to consumers. And two, like most people only have like 20, 30 mobile apps on their phone, and they're usually like the big companies of. So it's like, it's hard to get a bootstrapped business, I think, off the ground based on a mobile app. The other thing is like, I just like web development way more. I used to do mobile development and it's just not as fun. It's not as fast. You have to like go through the whole Apple submission process. It just takes a lot of time. Has customers I enjoy being with. I can describe my target's customer problem. I can reach the target customer through SEO and word of mouth. That one I like because I don't want to have to be on a treadmill of like creating things all the time just to get new people in the door. I like how passive, SEO is more passive. So I really like that one. Don't need to worry about competing with well-funded startups. So I think some people read what I'm trying to say here, that like I just don't want any competition. Like I think you need competition because that shows, oh, there's actually like there's demand for this, like there's other people trying to solve this problem, like it's a real problem. So I think if you go somewhere where you have no competition, that could be a bad sign. But what I kind of mean here is that like I don't want to build in a niche or in a problem space where there's like huge startups with millions of dollars raised that are like competing against me, where they have way more resources. It needs to be something where I see a way where I can differentiate in a way where I have the ability to run this business successfully just by myself. Like if I don't, hire people or do anything like that, like this kind of goes back, I think, to having optionality. And so basically I definitely think I'll have competitors, but just not like ones that I'm like, oh, I can't compete with because they're way too big or whatever. It's fun to build and run even when I start out with no users. I think this one's important just because, it could be a long road to get something going, and I need to be okay with that. And I think this helps if I really have fun building the product and I enjoy it. Something that won't consume my life. I can be relaxed doing it. Something that makes me stay up late thinking about it in the early stages. So yeah, this is kind of like, I don't want to build a monster business. I want to build a business I really enjoy, that I like, and that's, I like, it's kind of fun if you stay up late sometimes because you're so excited about some ideas you have about a business. So I like that. I think that's a good thing. But at the same time, I don't want this business to be like, for me to make this work, I have to spend 100% of my time working on this business, because I do have like a family. I do have kids. I do want to do a good job in some of my other areas of life. So anyways, that's the list. And so now, let's see, I'm just going to check real quick. I think my recording is still going. So we're good there. Okay, so now drum roll to the actual idea that I'm pretty certain I have for the last 2 months. Like, this is going to be the idea that I'm working on. Maybe soon I find I don't want to do it anymore, but I don't know. I'm liking it so far, and it's a problem that I care about. And so it's called TrustScore. So trustscore.gg. So kind of the idea with this is, well, I guess first, the problem that this is solving is that there's a lot of hacks and scams in crypto. Maybe you've heard about that in the news, I bet. And in some ways, that's what gives crypto a bad rap, is it's just kind of scammy. There's lots of hacks. There's lots of issues. And, I like crypto, and seeing through that, like, I see the positive. I see that, like, okay, this is like a pretty big new technology. I think it's going to change a lot of things, but it's very immature in how it is right now. And so this is kind of like, can I build a website that helps even fix some of those problems? And so like my H1 here says, find trustworthy Web3 projects or spot the bad ones. So this more or less is trying to create a website that indexes all these different crypto projects and tells you the information you need to know how risky something is, or maybe that this thing could be scammy. Like, what are the red flags about this thing? And so that's kind of the idea, to like help people using crypto projects, investors or users, help them know how trustworthy a project is, and kind of help them do their due diligence. So this is kind of the first start of the website. It's kind of rough. I just have like a list of these different DeFi apps, which stands for decentralized finance. And so it just kind of lists these different apps. And then when you click into them, it just kind of gives, right now it's very simple, gives some high level information, like, how much money is in this project. That's called the TVL. How, like, has there been any hacks of this project? Like, I think that's one kind of data point to kind of give, like, okay, maybe there's some issues here. Like, they've had hacks in the past. And then it kind of lists their audits. An audit is basically where like a professional team comes and reviews the code, the smart contracts of the project, and they kind of find issues and they help them change it and make it better, and just be like, all right, this is looking good. And so I just have like a list of all the audits. You can actually click off to the PDFs to read those if you want. But anyways, this is like a really rough start to trying to solve this problem. Like, it's really not solving it at all, but it kind of shows the idea is to show information about these different crypto projects, kind of like an explorer, where you can kind of explore projects, but then in the process, you kind of have a lens of trustworthiness, like how trustworthy is this thing? And so there's going to be a lot of different data points that I'm going to add to this to kind of give people kind of like a cheat sheet of how trustworthy this thing is. And so that's kind of the idea. And so how I'm going to make money is basically just get a lot of traffic. Like I just need to get a lot of traffic, and then I'm going to have crypto projects or companies sponsor. Probably the companies will hopefully be in like the safety kind of realm, like companies that are selling to people that care about protecting themselves in crypto. That would be the ideal. But yeah, basically companies that want to sponsor the site. And so to do that, I need to probably get 100, 200,000 views a month, kind of on the low end, to at least kind of start making revenue, make a business that works. Kind of how I'm pulling those numbers from is there's a similar, there's similar websites that do parts of this. And that's going back to like, I want to find an idea that's not like completely solving a completely new idea. There's lots of websites that give data on different projects, and they kind of show like how it's trading and the token and like user usage and things like that. So there are websites out there that do parts of this. I'm kind of trying to do that, but then also more so focus this on the trustworthiness part. So that's like my differentiation. But when I go and look at some of those websites that are doing similar things, they charge $50 per 1,000 views. So that means I need to get to 100,000 views a month to make a business that's making around $5,000 a month. And so that's kind of how I'm thinking about it, how I'm looking at it. So I have a bit of work to do. And I think this idea it's kind of ambitious. Like it takes time to get a website to those numbers, I think. And I could even see it taking like a year or something to just like getting the traffic up, getting the website going. And like, I'm going to have to like talk to sponsors and get people to want to sponsor on it. So I think it's going to take time, and even just collecting all this data and making this website, which is, going to be free to people. It's going to take time just to get that going. But kind of going back to my list, I think this fits some things, a lot of things on my list, because one, it's like, it's scratching my own itch. It's actually a problem I really care about. Like I would really like to see this get better in the crypto world, and I enjoy crypto. It's not a product that I'm selling, so it's kind of breaking that rule in a way, but most likely the ad spots that I'm selling, could eventually be going for thousands of dollars that I'm selling to a company. So in a way, it kind of does fit that in some way. One of the big ones is I really could see myself doing this for like the next 10 years. Like I think that's actually possible. I also really like that it's not built on top of a platform. Like I feel like I have a lot of control of this. And then the other thing I like with this idea is, it's starting out as just like a distribution play, just like getting a lot of traffic. But once I have that traffic, I feel like distribution is like the hard part in businesses nowadays. And so once I have all that distribution, then I have just a ton of options of like, maybe I make like an info course on how to like protect yourself and stay safe when investing in crypto, and I sell that. Or maybe I then do add like a SaaS product that just like helps people stay safe in some way, or gives them extra day or extra data. Maybe it's like a pro version of Trust Score or something like that. So I think there's just a lot of options where I could take this once I've kind of grown it out to have some good distribution. And so I'm excited about that. I think it's a business that would be fun to build. So that's like important. And also, like, I'd like to get to the point where I could build out a team. So I feel like there's definitely some places I could have help for this, like even having like editors and people that are kind of helping make sure the data is good and validating things. I could, it's a little bit of like a media play. Like it's like a data website, but it's kind of like media too. So I could see like having writers that are writing good like breakdowns of projects with trustworthiness in mind. I could eventually see like doing like a YouTube channel, which I kind of like creating videos and things like that. That's built around this kind of content. So there's a lot of things with it that I like, where I think I'd really enjoy running this kind of business. And that's why, it really hits a lot of my checkboxes actually, even though it isn't a SaaS right now. So yeah, that is Trust Score, and that's kind of the new beginnings, hopefully, to a business that we'll see if this works. I'm thinking how much like sharing in public I want to do with this idea. With my last business, Potion, I did a lot of building in public, and I really enjoy building in public. And I think some of the biggest values and benefits of it is kind of just like building a network, like getting connected with the people that could help with your business and learning from them. So I think it's valuable in that way. I think there has been more like downsides people have talked about with like people kind of, copycatting ideas and things like that. In some ways, I think with this idea, I'm not as worried about that one, because I feel like people are down on crypto right now. And I don't know, it's kind of an ambitious, hard idea. I don't feel like many other indie hackers would want to take this on, because it's just going to take so much time just to get it going, I feel like. But I don't know. So I think I might do some more building in public again. I'm definitely going to share things on this podcast. Like I said, if you have any questions for me, reach out and ask questions, because that's probably where my different ideas for doing new podcast episodes would come from. So let me know. But this has been fun kind of walking through this with you. And I have a lot of work to do, so I should probably get to that. Thank you for listening and watching on YouTube. I'll see you in another episode.